So 720 Zone just put out a new video called I Made Classic WoW Bosses Fight Each Other. It just came out. I was gonna watch Hardcore Moments, but like this looks so entertaining to me. I almost want to like watch this video and predict which one's gonna win. And funny enough, we watched Jeff's video last week where he had 2 bosses fight each other and I predicted, and then like the boss fight didn't really like go well because one was like scaling up or whatever. Anyway, I'm really curious if we can predict which bosses are going to win in this. So anyway, let's check it out.
Can you make Herod fight Stitches? Yes, I can. We'll look at that matchup and several more in this video. And I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever received a more requested type of video than this one, than when I just happened to show a couple of boss v boss battles in recent videos. And so we're going to look at some of the boss abilities, and I'll explain some of the technical aspect of how this works and how accurate it is as we go. But the main thing is you can make your guess as to who's going to win each of these matchups, and then we'll watch the fights play out. So for our first matchup, this one's, I guess, sort of a gimme. We've got level...
All right, hold on. Stitches versus Herod. Herod has like 12,000 life. Stitches has like 12,000 life. 35 elite versus 40 elite. I mean, you would think probably Herod would win. Stitches does have more life, but like Herod is like higher level.
35 Stitches, the Menace of the Road in Duskwood versus Herod, the level 40 boss of the Armory in Scarlet Monastery. And this is like the Herod POV here. So I'm on a GM account controlling Herod as my pet. And I can see his abilities, which are Rushing Charge, which he does at the start of the match. And then he has an Enrage that kicks off at 50% health, and a Cleave. And he has a Whirlwind that doesn't show up as an ability here. It's only part of the scripted event when you fight him in the monastery.
I wonder if there's a way to like not use him as a pet and just like have him fight, but it might not be able to make them aggro to each other or something. So maybe he's doing it this way because like you can't like aggro them. But yeah, no, guys, he's not an actual GM. He has like his own private server essentially that he's using. He's not like hosting it for anyone else. He's using it to like record footage and stuff like that.
And as for Stitches, he's more simple. Many of these bosses simply have their regular melee or base attack, and that's going to be the case for him. And as you can see, the level difference is just insurmountable here. The damage and armor values mean that Herod is hitting poor Stitches for around 140 and cleaving for over 200, and Stitches is only meleeing Herod for around 50 or 60 a shot. And so we speed this up to the inevitable outcome.
Rip Stitches.
Really no contest. Herod wins our first fight, and Stitches, as you can see, drops Stitches Femur, the white quality armor enhancing offhand. And okay, on to our second matchup. This one is going to be Princess Theradrill.
All right, let's pause. Before we even see anything, they're both 51 elites. Lord Roccor has only 12,000 life. Princess has 22,000 life. Princess easily wins this, right? Like, Princess just hits so hard. Lord Roccor like goes to a bunch of... Oh yeah, no, Lord Roccor is in BRD. Yeah, no, Princess just... I mean, it's not close, right?
That's the level 51 final boss of Maradon.
Yeah, Princess.
Versus Lord Roccor, the level 51 first boss of BRD. Or it kind of depends on the route you take in BRD or the way he's padding, but I consider him the first boss. Anyway, Princess here has 3 abilities: Repulsive Gaze, Boulder, her ranged attack, and Dustfield, her AoE that everyone just calls Fart. And as for Roccor, he's another simple boss with no special abilities, just his melee. And as we kick it off here, you can see I'm not letting Princess use her abilities on cooldown like you could, like with a hunter pet or any pet, by right-clicking and turning it on to an autocast. I'm just periodically clicking it, and I'm gonna explain a bit more of why that is in our next fight. But as for this one, I'm not using Repulsive Gaze for fear because Roccor is immune. And I'm not using her ranged boulder throw because Roccor is, of course, in melee range. And so I'm hitting Dustfield every 20 seconds, which is how she works in the normal encounter. And the ability itself lasts for 8 seconds. And as you'll see here, it hits Roccor pretty good for around 140, 150 damage per tick. And her melee hits for like 50-ish HP. It's the darker orange of the numbers there. And then the ability, the Dustfield, is the yellow damage. And we can see the hits from Roccor on Princess up here.
Wait, why is this so close? Like, I feel like this should have just been a complete shutout. Like, Princess took like 0 damage. Like, she's like double the life. Why is this so close? It's just the armor? Ah.
He hits much harder. He's meleeing her for anywhere from between like 130 to 200, and sometimes critting for almost 400. So much higher, but slower melee. But as you can see, Princess's health pool is way, way higher than Roccor's.
Right. So Princess wins
and
anyway.
the damage done by Dustfield is just enough to eventually overcome Lord Roccor, and down he goes.
We're 2 for 2, guys. 2 for 2.
And he's going to drop his nice pre-60 starter shield. And with that, we're on to our third matchup. And
Okay, so this was the one in his last video that we guessed. And it looked like so Rattlegore won in the last video, but it was like bugged because it was from the GM account or whatever. So like now we'll actually get to see who wins. Anyway, Krasnov or Rattlegore, guys? I'm still going to go with Rattlegore, I think. But Krasnov hits crazy fast. Like, I could see this one going either way. They both hit hard. I'm going to go with Rattlegore, though, I think.
I showed this one in passing in my GM Powers video, and it's what prompted a lot of the comments I showed at the beginning of this one. And so when Xaryu watched that video, he stopped, and he and his chat were, like, really interested in it.
All right, guys, who wins this fight? Rattlegore or Krasnov? Who wins? Who wins?
And how often they cast and other things, but it's still pretty good and pretty interesting. And again, that is just...
Okay, the attack speed is way different than normal. This isn't even a fair fight.
And then, like, I barely showed the fight, and it was kind of over real quick, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And so, like, kind of disappointing. But here's the deal. So first off, Rattlegore's abilities are a knockaway, an instant damage ability, and War Stomp, a stun. And Krasnov, the Busher, his abilities are, again, smaller screen here. He has a Rend that Rattlegore's immune to, and a damage spell called Backhand, and then he enrages at 50%. So first of all, here's the fight Xaryu saw, and I just glossed over it in that video. And I'm playing this in real time, and you can see it's just no contest. Butcher is just getting wrecked. Well, with this GM control of the mob, some abilities don't like properly follow the GCD.
Oh, that's what happened. They don't follow, so because it's on autocast, so I think that's why he turned the autocast off probably.
And are just spammed, and that's the case with Rattlegore. He's just spamming both of his abilities nonstop, and Butcher's immune to the War Stomp, but the Backhand, which is Rattle's normal damage plus 30, is going off constantly, super, super fast for like 300 or 400 damage a tick. So like I said, that was disappointing, but we're going to show an accurate fight here in a second. But first, just for reference, here is real quick with no abilities, just raw auto attack or melee, and these guys, you can see it's a bit closer of a fight, but still Rattlegore's melee is hitting Butcher. Again, here are the damage numbers for much more than Butcher is hitting Rattle, again up here. So same outcome. But okay, one more time, here is the real fight, as accurate as possible. I'm having Rattle use his knockaway damage ability every 20 seconds, which is what he does in the real Skullman's fight, and Butcher is using his Backhand every 15 to 20 seconds, also which is how he works. And as you can see, it's unfortunately for the Butcher a similar outcome. He's tough for sure, but he just cannot overcome the much, much higher damage from Rattlegore. Now he does.
Does anyone else find this as interesting as I do? I'm like from the last video, I was like so invested, and now I'm like, okay, now we know. So we're 3 for 3 on the guesses, so that's pretty good.
Here we go, right here. He gets his Enrage after 50%. And you can see he turns red there, and he does start to hit a bit harder, but it's not going to be nearly enough. And so this methodology of figuring out how the actual fights work and then adjusting or correcting for the timing of abilities as best I could is how I did all the fights in this video. And you might ask, well, why not just go fight in the dungeon and only MC one of the bosses? But I wanted to see their abilities on my pet bar, and then also ensure that like being controlled by the GM wasn't giving one or the other some advantage to one mob. So I elected to have both mobs controlled by 2 GM accounts. And so our definitive champ is Rattlegore.
I do wonder if there's a way to just spawn both of them at the same time and have them act as if they normally would and fight each other, like somehow make them aggro to each other, so you don't have to like mind control them. I have no idea, but that'd be cool if they could just straight up auto battle, you know.
And we're on to our next match, and we're gonna go big this time.
Okay, Kazzak versus Onyxia. Oh gosh. Okay, so Onyxia has 1 million life and Kazzak has 300,000. So just based off that, Kazzak has like this. Yeah, no, it's gotta be Onyxia, right? There's gotta be Onyxia. Who do you guys think's gonna win? Onyxia or Kazzak? It's gotta be Onyxia, right? Kazzak clears? What, really? Ani easy, surely? Kazzak? No way Ani loses? I feel like Ani, like, okay, so is Ani gonna summon whelps and then Kazzak, he does that like debuff. I don't know if that debuff is gonna be a big deal for Ani. Because there's a debuff that Kazzak does where if you go out of mana, it like kills you. Wait, Onyxia has no mana. So maybe he can't put it on Onyxia? Oh wait, no. If you go on Kazzak, it heals Kazzak with the debuff, right? Anyway, we'll see. I think it's Onyxia. I think Onyxia is going to win, unless that debuff carries somehow.
And this is 2 raid bosses. It's going to be Onyxia, the original final boss of WoW, versus Kazzak, the one of the original 2 vanilla world bosses. And as we get this started, I'll explain the abilities. So Onyxia has a tail sweep, which obviously is not going to hit Kazzak in the front. Then has her main ability here, Flame Breath, which is the big like 3 to 4k hit in the front in a cone. And then these other 2 abilities don't really come into play. These
Ani
are her
is clearing,
breaths,
I
or
think.
deep breath that she'd do during phase 2 up in the air. And I believe there are different versions for her different positions above the raiders in the normal encounter. And so for Kazzak, when MC'd, there's no abilities that show up. And I was confused by this and researched a bit and found that, his abilities, which he has a couple of ranged Shadow Bolts,
Mark of Kazzak,
T-Clap, a Cleave, a Mana Drain that kills the players when their mana's drained, and then his main ability where he heals when a raider dies. I found that those aren't normal creature abilities that show up on the bar when you MC the creature. They're more like script-driven abilities that only show up under certain conditions at certain times, and these don't transfer to an MCer. So anyway, long story to say that Kazzak is only going to melee, and I did take Onyxia separately to the Blasted Land.
So if that's the case, definitely Onyxia, and you can see it here. Onyxia is clearing by a mile, so...
to fight Kazzak in the normal encounter. But she's immune to most of what Kazzak does, and the rest of the abilities would affect multiple raid members, which doesn't really apply. So our story is that Ani here is meleeing Kazzak for around, you can see 700 to 800, and periodically flame breathing for 3,000 or 4,000. And Kazzak is meleeing for around 500 a hit. And as you can see, they have drastically different health pools. Kazzak a little under 400k, and Ani at about 1.1 million. And so it's Onyxia with the clear advantage over this sort of somewhat gimped version of Kazzak, because he's designed to be much more dangerous to a large group if they don't kill him quickly. And as we'll see in our next fight, or I think it's going to be the one after this one, these raid battles take a long, long time, which initially surprised me, but then I realized, these bosses are designed to be DPS by like 30 raiders blasting away and doing DPS to a single player target, a tank. So when you pit them against each other, the damage they do versus the damage they're designed to absorb means the fight's going to last a long, long time.
True.
So anyway, the outcome here really is no
boys,
contest.
4 for 4.
Onyxia has way too much health and does way more damage than Kazzak, so he's defeated. And what does he drop here? It's a bunch of stuff. Look at that, 173 gold.
I like how he
and
shows
there
the loot.
is the ED, big main hand mace. Okay, so our next match, we're going to bring things back down to normal.
Mutanus versus Edwin. Edwin clears, right? Especially if he summons ads, which he should. Edwin. Like, does anyone disagree here? It has to be Edwin, because he's gonna summon ads, or he should, and the ads Mutanus won't be able to deal with. So yeah, GG.
Normal size, we've got an early dungeon final boss matchup. It's going to be Mutanus the Devourer, the level 22 last boss from Wailing Caverns, versus Edwin VanCleef, level 21, and the last boss from Dead Mines. And again, these are 2 pretty simple melee-only bosses that would be much more complex in their real environments, right? Like Mutanus comes after an escort in Wailing Caverns and like a couple rounds or waves of mobs, I think. And VanCleef is much more tough because he spawns with 2 stealth ads, and then 2 more show up halfway through. But when we strip all of that away, you get just a good old-fashioned beat-em-up brawl.
So there's no ads. So that changed. I thought for like my guess was based off of, okay, there's going to be ads. Mutanus can't deal with the ads. GG. So without the ads, this is really close, man.
And this one's close. You can see the health ticking down there. And as we get to the end, by a hair, it's going to be Mutanus pulling this out. And when it's that close, you could say, well, it's just RNG with crits that can change things. But I did let this one play out 3 separate times, and the outcome was always the same. And we're actually watching the closest one here. So the early dungeon champ is Wailing Caverns over Dead Mines.
No, we're wrong, guys. We're wrong. I will say, though, if it's the actual fight, like if Mutanus went onto the ship and fought Edwin, Edwin would win not even close from the ads. And if Edwin went into Mutanus's, in the BFD, then well, I guess if he brought its ads, then Edwin would still win. It's just the ad. Like, you need the ads.
Okay, next up we have Battle of the Undead Endgame Dungeon Bosses. Make your guesses on this one. It's going to be...
Okay, Baron and Dark Master Gandling. The thing about Dark Master Gandling is he like ports you, right? Baron has an aura. Like, is the aura going to be active? If the aura is active, then Baron easily wins. But I don't know if he's going to have his aura. And then the whole thing about Dark Master Gandling is the rooms, right? Also, the skeleton adds. Man, I would love to see these fights with all the boss mechanics. Like, I wonder if Jeff could do this, where he spawns Dark Master Gandling into Baron's room, and they fight there. And then he spawns Baron into Dark Master Gandling's room, and they fight there. Jeff, maybe this is an idea for your next video. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would be cool.
Baron Rivendare level 62 versus Dark Master Gandling level 61. Strat Undead versus Scholomance. And Baron is going to be meleeing only, but he also has his Unholy Aura that will tick. And Gandling has a curse that weakens the target. And he has Arcane Missile spell that he won't cast because he's going to be in melee range. Okay, we've got to get this one started right away because as you can see, Baron's aura begins ticking as soon as I make these guys hostile.
So Baron wins. Baron wins.
Here we go.
No
you
way.
Can see Baron's melee hits on Gandling are, again, the orange, and then the ticking Unholy Aura is the yellow. And we can watch Gandling's melee up here.
Oh, Gandling has a 50,000 life to Baron's 25,000. I didn't realize he has almost double the life. But still, with that aura...
And then we can see eventually Gandling's curse go out, which transforms Baron and lowers his strength a bit. And this is an interesting fight because Gandling has a much higher health pool than Baron, but Baron is doing much more DPS.
Okay, so Baron clears anyway.
Of the Unholy Aura and his melee. And so we're going to speed this up a bit. And as we get toward the end of the fight...
Oh, it's very close, though.
Look at how close this ends up being. But it's the Baron who overpowers Gandling.
Yeah.
And was able to claim
I didn't think it'd be that close, though.
There it is, the Devout Crown and the Witchblade from him. All right, our next fight is going to be a little different. We're going to call this Horde versus...
Oh, Magni versus Sylvanas. Oh my gosh. It has to be, I think Magni, right? It's going to be Magni, right? I think it's Magni. This is a good one, though. I think Magni has to clear. You can't even see their health pools, but Magni's got to it's got to be Magni. I mean, it has to be, right?
Alliance or maybe Undercity versus Ironforge because it's going to be Lady Sylvanas Windrunner, leader of the Undead or the Forsaken versus King of Ironforge,
Wait,
Magni
they're hitting for 60 damage?
And again, these are melee only faction bosses. And so right away we get started and you can see that like, what the heck is going on? The health bars aren't even moving, even though I can see both of these taking a bit of damage. But this is the
Why did they do like 0 damage? What the heck?
ultimate example of or magnification of the issue I talked about with Ani and Kazzak. So these are world faction bosses that are designed for or potentially made to be attacked by, it could be an opposite faction raid or raids of 100 or more players, and they need to survive a reasonable amount of time. So they're going to have insane amounts of armor and massive health pools. And they're also not going to be hitting super hard that they one-shot players. So when pitted against each other, their damage is very small and their health and armor is very high. And so we get a fight that would last absolutely forever. And actually...
Does he just leave his computer on like for a whole weekend getting this footage? Like, because you can't really speed it up, right?
I let this one go on for 20 minutes, just like this, to the point where finally there was a little move here in Lady Sylvanas' health bar. And so that, combined with her lower health pool, and the fact that their damage seems similar, lead me to, with apologies to my Horde friends, I declare King Bronzebeard the winner of this one.
Yeah, that makes sense. So she has way less life and is taking more damage. So so Sylvanas would for sure lose. But yeah, he would have to keep this going for like, I mean, how long would that take? Like 20 hour fight or something? Like, I don't know if someone wants to do some type of math here, but like he'd have to leave his computer on like a whole day like Asloff. Like, it'd be so troll.
I did not let the entire thing play out for hours and hours. Okay, one more small, very quick fight before we get to our final raid boss.
Oh. Wait, Defias Pillager versus Gazz'uz? Oh my gosh, that's actually tough. So if Gazz'uz has his Voidwalker and there's pushback, Gazz'uz easy wins. Pillagers, though, are NPCs. Do NPCs have pushback? I actually don't think they do. Do they? No, I don't think they do. They don't. They're both level 14. I can't see their health pools. Pillager obviously hits really hard. It looks like Gazz'uz actually doesn't have his Voidwalker. And the pushback won't exist. Does the Pillager like, I want to say Gazz'uz, but now I'm like second guessing of like, does the Pillager randomly win here? If the Pillager gets 2 fireballs off, Gazz'uz just dies. I might go with the Pillager. That's not just because I've died to him. I've actually died to Gazz'uz too. I've died to both of these mobs. I actually might go with the Pillager. If the Gazz'uz summons a pet, that might put it in Gazz'uz's favor, but it looks like there's gonna be no pet. So might be the Pillager.
And this one we're gonna call the NA hardcore server battle. And you might know our hardcore servers are named for infamous hardcore killers. And I play on Defias Pillager, which is the name of the level 14 caster in Westfall. And the other NA server is Skull Rock, which is the brutal cave full of warlock casters. And at the end is the level 14 caster.
Whoa, Gazz'uz started casting a second sooner. That orc is a cheater, bro. You see that? He started casting like half a second before the pilly. So I don't know.
Here, and this is like a blink and you'll miss it fight. We let them cast on each other.
Oh,
and there
rip,
they go.
Rip.
And so the champion of the NAHC server showdown is Gaz.
Wait, that was actually kind of close, but I don't know why I forgot. Gazz'uz just does he spam Shadow Bolts though? I feel like he normally only does 1 Shadow Bolt and then attacks you. He does? Am I tripping? Oh yeah, you kind of kite him out, kill the pet. I don't know why I don't know why I was thinking he was autoing.
Or Skull Rock, and grats to him on the linen cloth from this poor Defias Pillager. And with that, we're on to our final battle. 2 hard-hitting, like absolute badass bosses from Naxxramas.
Oh, Patchwerk versus Razuvious. Patchwerk clears, right? Especially Razuvious without his mechanics. Oh, I mean, it's Patchwerk. It's Patchwerk. Raz, no competition. Asloff, there's no way you actually think Razuvious is going to win here. Okay, let's look at the life bars. So Razuvious has about 2 million. Patchwerk has double that, like 4 million. And it's Patchwerk. What? Patchwerk clears. Right? Raz one-shots tanks, which is why he's tanked by ads. Oh. True. Is Patchwerk gonna have his like what happens if you only put on 1 tank to Patchwerk? Like, where do the hateful strikes go? Would they just go to that 1 tank? In other words, is Patchwerk gonna hateful strike Patchwerk? To the second most threat? No, assuming there's only 1 player. To the second threat. But assuming there's only 1 player, would it go to just the 1 player? Would the hateful go to the 1 tank? Because if there's hateful strikes that go to the 1 tank, then I think Patchwerk might clear. But if hateful strikes just don't exist now, because there's only 1 on the threat meter, I don't know. Hey, Pops! Thanks for the tier 1 sub. Hope you're doing wonderful.
This is Patchwerk versus Instructor Razuvious.
There's no hatefuls.
Both of these guys have huge damage and massive health pools. Razuvious does an unbalancing strike that hits super hard and a disrupting shout that's an AoE mana burn, and so it won't come into play here. And then Patchwerk, he'll just be meleeing like normal. He'd also do a hateful strike to off tanks, which aren't part of this fight, of course. But here we go.
So
and
no
again,
hatefuls.
watching Patchwerk's hits on Razuvious, we see up here, and you can see how extremely fast he's meleeing. He's hitting for, between 500 and 700 a
7,000 damage from Razuvious's autos. 7,000 compared to the 500. But they're slower, and he has twice the life pool. You guys are probably right. Razuvious probably clears.
Whack, and critting for double that every so often. And then Razuvious His attack speed is actually very, very slow, but when he does connect, he hits extremely hard, like anywhere from 6 to 9k, and that's because, of course, he's supposed to be tanked by one of his mind-controlled students. No player is going to last long against those hits. And as you can see, every 30 seconds, when it comes up, he'll do his unbalancing strike, and that hits poor Patchwerk for like 25 to 30k or more, and
so
you'll see that as
is
the
probably
yellow
gonna win,
numbers.
huh?
There's one there. And so he ends up doing just a ton of damage, and it's a good fight that ends up going along for over 13 minutes in real time.
I'm wrong. Okay, all right, guys, all right. Xaryu was wrong about the Patchwerk and Razuvious fight, and you guys were right.
But unfortunately for Patchwerk, nothing can overcome that crazy Razuvious damage, and he claims the champ of Naxxramas and is able to claim Patchwerk's 134 gold, shoulder token, and then the axe severance. And that is our boss battles episode. If this was interesting, I'll do more of these. I'd like to hear what matchups you think you'd like to see, or other ideas, right? We could be doing Razuvious clearing all the way through MC or anything like that. There's lots of possibilities.
Yeah, we did. Okay, dude. Yeah, there's a lot of potential here. This was so fun. I don't think Patchwerk enraged either, but I don't know if it would have mattered. Probably wouldn't have mattered. I would love to see. I don't know if this is possible on a GM account, but I would love to see like you bring in Razuvious into Kel'Thuzad's room, and you just drop Razuvious there and have him fight Kel'Thuzad with all the mechanics. I don't know if that's even possible. Might not be. Or like you bring in Patchwerk and you just drop him on top of Ragnaros or something, you know, with all the mechanics. Like that would be really cool.
As always, I really appreciate you guys watching and subscribing. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
That was a great video. Holy crap. Love it. Yeah, oh my gosh, now I'm thinking what he should do in the next video is like King of the Hill. So you have like Razuvious and you try to find a boss that can beat him, and when you finally find a boss that can beat him, then he's the King of the Hill, and then you pit him up against a bunch of other bosses till you find a boss that beats him, and you find like one of the strongest bosses in the game. Like, that'd be sick too. Anyway, Jeff, keep crushing it. These are some fantastic vids.